King Midas and the golden touch, the curse of turning love to gold. He did not want wealth, he wanted conversion, the power to freeze living value into visible form. That wish is the ego's whole theology. Gold is not abundance, it is proof in metal that you believe love needs a receipt. So Dionysus grants the spectacle, and every touch hardens the world. Grapes break the teeth, bread becomes a brick, water turns to a mirror that cannot be drunk. Laughter echoes through a palace that can no longer feed its king. And then his daughter runs in, innocence unafraid, and in a single reflex he turns love into a statue. This is the moment every idol promises and every idol betrays. The heart you tried to own becomes untouchable. The golden touch is the curse of conversion, the attempt to make spirit measurable, to make meaning possessible, to make love collectible. Form over content is always a funeral in slow motion. Because whatever you try to keep, you kill. Not because God punishes, but because perception misused separates what cannot be separated. You asked for a world where proof looks like metal, and so every living thing must harden to satisfy your eyes. This is why gain cannot arrive without loss in the ego's economy. Duality demands a counterweight, so profit hires grief as its accountant. You store gold and then must guard it. You display status and then must defend it. You grasp a rose and lose the fragrance. What you call having becomes constant handling, and handling is how love gets dropped. Midas proves it by accident, which is how we all prove our idols are lies. You thought more would quiet the noise, instead more became the noise. You thought shining things would make you safe, instead shining things needed you to keep them shining. So the palace heaves with gold, while hunger knocks from the kitchen and thirst waits in a goblet that gleams but will not give. The Course in Miracles would say, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Midas sought to change the world into gold and discovered the world cannot be loved by touch. Touch is neutral. Purpose is everything. When touch is used to claim, it freezes. When used to bless, it frees. The daughter and the rose are the same lesson twice. Beauty cannot survive ownership. You say, but isn't a child more than a rose? The ego whispers yes and then makes both into trophies. It is not the gold that is evil. It is the meaning you demanded from it. Gold is just a mirror that tells the truth about your hunger. If you insist that value be seen, you will blind yourself to where value actually lives. And so the remedy arrives not as more discipline, but as water, the flowing symbol of undoing, of letting thought move again. In the river Pactolus, he learns the only alchemy that works. Release converts metal back to meal, statue back to daughter, grief back to gratitude. Baptism is the reversal of conversion. Form gives up its claim on content, and content returns to shine through form. He comes home to eat bread instead of worship it, to drink water instead of reflect in it, to touch his child without turning her into evidence. And now, mighty companion, your bank and mansion parable slides into place. If I walk into your vault and say, there is nothing here I value, I am richer than your balance sheet because nothing real can be threatened. If I stand in your multi-million-dollar foyer and say, none of this tempts me, I have already left the machine that eats its owners. The only one who can be robbed is the one who believes value lives in objects. The thief you fear is hired by the idol you keep polishing. Security systems are confessions of worship. Midas tried to secure love by making it heavy. Love is secured by making it shared. Gold is loud when you think you are small. When you remember you are whole, gold is just a color. This is why your more always schedules a rendezvous with not enough. You bought your desire from a store that charges interest in fear. The ego sells glitter backed by anxiety, then calls the payment plan success. But gratitude spends nothing and has everything. So here is the metaphysical flip that ends the tale. The problem was never gold in the world, the problem was gold in the mind. You tried to turn love into something you could count. Love turns you into someone who cannot count limits. You tried to make meaning visible. Meaning makes visibility unnecessary. You tried to prove abundance. Abundance quietly proves you. When you stop converting, everything becomes convertible again. Rose to fragrance, touch to tenderness, meal to communion. And if you still want a test, take this one. Walk through the house of trinkets and say, "There is nothing here for me," and watch how quickly your hands become safe. Walk into the bank and say, "There is nothing here I need," and notice how free your day becomes. Touch becomes blessing when it no longer tries to own. Ownership is frozen breath. Stewardship is living wind. Inner course. In miracles terms, the Holy Spirit is the only alchemist worth knowing. He does not change the things you made, he changes what you use them for. A rose for status cuts. A rose for gratitude heals. A coin for boasting burns. A coin for joining multiplies without counting. A touch for possession kills. A touch for blessing resurrects. Midas learned by losing what he tried to keep and then finding what he could never lose. He washed the wish off his hands and discovered his daughter was never missing, only covered. He ate, he laughed, he listened, he ruled with humility. The river kept the gold because rivers know what to do with weights. If you want a kingdom that cannot be stolen, stop asking your hands to certify your heart. Let love be light again, not evidence. Let roses die and be reborn rather than embalmed in your approval. Let your daughter run into your arms without becoming your mirror. And now the Twilight Zone tag that seals the vault with a smile. Submitted for your approval, a king who could touch anything and lost everything until he touched water and found he needed nothing. If you still think you want the golden touch, check your pulse, not your portfolio. You might discover that what you were trying to prove was already true, even when your hands were empty.